are listening live to The Sound of Freedom on the Orion Talk Radio Network. I'm your host. As usual, my name is Ryan Brooks, and I'm not going anywhere. And what a fitting song, right, folks? We literally are living in the Twilight Zone. Don't forget, tonight, 1 hour after The Sound of Freedom, you've got my main man, Joe Joseph, coming on with the Freedom Link, exposing the tyrants, exposing the conspiracies for what they really are. Make sure you guys check out Freedom Link at 10 p.m. Eastern, which would be 7 p.m. out here on the West Coast. Now, what I wanted to get to here with this military worship, and if you guys want to see a good example of it, you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/BullMooseBrooks, and you can see the video that I posted. It is entitled, now this is my title for it, A Fool Survives His Mistakes in Combat and Foolishly Uploads Them. And when I saw this video, folks, I really kind of second-guessed myself as far as, I do try to shine a light on every man and woman that dies in Afghanistan because the mainstream media definitely doesn't do it. The average American, that's kind of its own topic, but they're not paying attention. Unless you have a family member or a loved one or a good friend or something that's over there, we've been able to live in a world where it pretty much doesn't affect us. We're not having blackouts or sugar rations or buying war bonds or anything like that, like we've had to do in the past in America. But back to this video. A fool survives his mistakes in combat and foolishly uploads them. Now, this video came from a pro-military website. It shows all these cool firefights and all this, bad, hardcore stuff. I was gonna swear. That's why I stopped it. Not bad, but it's good. It's war. It's combat. People shooting and death, killing the enemy, etc. And the original video has around 22 million hits. So I reposted it on my channel and called it A Fool Survives His Mistake in Combat and Foolishly Uploads Them, because this guy, this soldier, is absolutely foolish. And I showed it to some of my friends in the military. I showed it to Ken, the Vietnam veteran, Information Nation. I showed it to Joe Joseph. I showed it to Popeye, Timmy Watts. I mean, military veterans, and Timmy Watts, not a military veteran, but even he, with common sense, sees that this guy is a complete D. Now, basically what happens is he's on top of a hill, and he's with his platoon, and they take fire from below at the very bottom of the hill, and he decides to be what we would call in the military a hero, hotshot, tough guy, Rambo. This stuff is not encouraged. At least it never was when I was in. And I feel very lucky because I did have very good leadership who taught me, what to do in situations like this. But this man decides to run from his protected position and draw the enemy fire. So they're on top of a hill. They have the high terrain. They have the dominant terrain. They have all types of cover with rocks, cover and concealment. So they're not going to get shot. And Rambo over here decides to jump out, and he's got a helmet cam, so you can see through his eyes what he did. And he runs out there and starts shooting. Now, I had a comment from a guy who's like, he was using his reticle. You can't tell from the camera angle, but watch it for yourself, folks. To me, at some point, it looks like he's shooting from the hip. I mean, he has an M4 carbine, which is a small arms weapon. All right, the maximum effective range on that thing is 600 meters on an area target, and that's if you're aiming and you have good, technique and all that stuff. And he's running, stumbling around, shooting from the hip, doing all this stuff. Well, then he manages to fall halfway down the hill and roll around. Then he gets up and starts running. Then he doesn't take cover. That's what I don't get. Like, he's not getting behind any rocks. He's definitely attracting their fire. Bullets are flying up all around him. Then he gets behind a rock. Gets behind a rock. They shoot the weapon out of his hands. He has what's called a sling, which I guess I'm old school, because when I was a dismounted team leader in Afghanistan, I absolutely required soldiers to use their sling. This was not all for looks special forces. You have a sling for a reason. So, like in this guy's case, when his weapon gets shot out of his hands, it doesn't fly away. Not only is he shooting with his little M4, which is the smallest weapon that we have besides a handgun, he has an M203 grenade launcher on that thing, a grenade launcher, and he's not using it. But anyway, he falls down, he gets up, he runs, he gets behind a rock, his weapon gets shot out of his hands and goes flying. He gets up to grab it, and then he gets shot. And he sits there and he screams, "I'm hit, I'm hit, I'm hit, I'm hit." He doesn't return fire. "I'm hit, I'm hit." And I almost forgot, while he's running and shooting, every time he has to change a magazine, it looks like he's in slow motion. He takes a knee, he picks up the magazine, he puts it in his little pouch. You can tell just by the gloves he wears. He's some type of hardcore Army strong soldier. The gloves he has on, folks, those are over $100 gloves that the military does not issue you. And when I was in, I'm not saying all soldiers are like this, but the guys who buy those gloves are all about looking cool, hardcore. This guy was either an infantry reject, like the hero that almost every platoon has one of them, who will run out there and do dumb things like that, who will do what you say don't do, and then he goes over there and steps on something and hits an IED and kills everyone. That's what this guy is. Or he's what the military really likes, which is just the military intelligence. They're the special forces of the regular army, and all they are is just glorified non-combat arms people who run around with the infantry and cavalry and get to interrogate the Afghans. Folks, when I got in my combat, which wasn't very much, but I did see enough, when my lieutenant got his legs blown off, I didn't even know that he was hurt. He continued the fight with no legs. I didn't even know he was injured. 2, our little military intelligence guy, he ran up to the vehicle. We're getting shot at from every direction, and he takes a knee and starts crying and will not react to any orders, will not do anything. He is sitting in the open on a knee, crying and sniveling. A military soldier. So I know I'm kind of throwing together this big picture, but please go to youtube.com, BullMooseBrooks, A Fool Survives Combat, and then is foolish enough to upload them. He does all this stuff. He gets shot. He's screaming, I'm shot. He's not shooting anymore. And this is what I'm getting at, folks, on the YouTube channel where this was originally uploaded. 22 million hits, and most of the people are on that channel saying, this guy's a military hero. He's a hero. God bless him. It's a good thing he survived. It's people like this that just make me feel red, white, and blue on the inside. Man, what a hero. What a hero. Folks, if people are dying like that in Afghanistan, nobody deserves to die. Okay? But at the same time, when you do things like this gentleman does here, they bring it on themselves. Okay? So when I comment on there, this guy's like, oh, he's just doing what he's trained to do. And I'm like, well, he wasn't trained very well. And then I start getting attacked from all these internet superheroes. I get attacked from people named like Mortar Sergeant 572, who's like, you stupid civilian, shut up. You don't know anything about combat. Not only was he shot by a 7.62 millimeter, which shows he knows much more than me because I'm just a lowly civilian. I don't know jack squat, you know. He was shot by a 7.62 millimeter round. How dare you? You are an idiot and you know nothing about combat. I'm just like, oh, okay, yeah, you're right. I don't. You're right. I've never been to Afghanistan. I've never seen any of that stuff. And then when I put it on my own channel, I immediately get a comment from some guy named Dukem Nukem, which is a shoot-'em-up video game. That's his name, Duke Nukem. You should take this down. You don't deserve to post this. Maybe if you had watched the original, you have read the circumstances, not just talk trash about a hero. Stupid armchair general. I'm sure you'll post back about your extensive combat experience and how you know better than the man in this video. And folks, I mean, we do have a lot going on, but I just wanted to highlight that. It shows the worship. Folks, I put the video in the chat. If you're not in the chat, go in there and you can see it. If you don't have time, check out BullMooseBrooks at YouTube and you can see it yourself. But this guy is an idiot. He is an idiot. Okay, I'm sorry. I dare question the military. In the United States of America, I still have the First Amendment right to say I don't trust the government. I feel like 9/11 is questionable. I don't agree with indefinite detention of citizens from the NDAA 2012, and I think Burrito Bomni is not going to save anybody. I still have the right to say that. I still have the right to say, hey, soldier, you just violated like every single battle drill you've ever been taught. Not to mention, in closing, folks, and I wasn't even infantry. I was cavalry. Okay, where was his vehicles? I know they had vehicle supports. Where were the strikers? Where were the MRAPs? Where was your call for fire? It's as easy as, hey, Smokey, this is Killer 2 Eagle. I've got a fire for effect mission. Over. Grid. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Fire for effect. Over. Boom. And now you've got artillery raining down. Where was the AT-4? We carried an AT-4, which is a bazooka, everywhere we went. Where was the bazooka? Where was the javelin, the most devastating weapon in the history of ground warfare that one man can use to take out a tank? But no, don't you question the military. But we're going to keep doing it, folks. Sound of Freedom, Orion Talk Radio. Don't touch that dial. We got a long way to go. Stay tuned.